All right, we were back live inside of Silverstein Ice Center's arena, and there you see, well, I'm sorry we're interrupting Steve Serrano right there, but we've got the annual mascot game coming up here, so we'll be watching this, and we are now joined by the Baltimore Blast owner, Mr. Ed Hale, who is here. Ed, good to see you.
Nice to be here in Kansas City.
Yeah, welcome to the Kansas City area. Maybe I want to make sure we get that close enough so we can hear you here.
How's that?
Oh, there we go.
Good.
Now we can hear you. Let's get your thoughts on the first half. What do you think so far in the first half?
Well, I think it's a pretty clean, well-played, even game. And we're down one. When did you guys play last, by the way?
It's been 3 weeks, and we played here, yeah. So it was been kind of a long layoff for us.
Right. We had a long layoff, and then we played last night in St. Louis and drove over. So I think we're getting our legs a little bit, but you guys are pretty quick.
Yeah, you guys have made some changes as well. When you look at last year's team, where Diego Zuniga, Lucio Gonzaga, who's now in Ontario, Adado Neto, Max Ferdinand, of course, in Milwaukee, Mike Diesel, those are some of the players that are gone. Now you've got Andrew Hoxie, Forbes, Pereira, Kim, Teyu. What do you think of the new additions to go along with the veterans that you guys have?
Well, we had a couple guys that just got a little bit older and didn't want to come back and didn't want to play. I don't know what the deal is with Gonzaga. He's a good player, and I really like the new players that we have. They're learning the game. Some of them are outdoor guys, and they're learning the game. Danny's a good coach, Danny Kelly, and he's doing a good job getting them up to speed. But I don't think we've really hit our stride yet. Neither does Danny.
Does playing in the Eastern Division, where you play the likes of Syracuse and Harrisburg and some of the other teams that are having a struggle this season, is it hard to get the best out of your team?
Yeah, we've absolutely had an easier first half of the season. Now it's big time, crunch time. We play you guys. St. Louis, I think, is coming on too, by the way. We had a good game last night, but they're playing well. And then we're going to go ahead and play a couple. We play you guys back in Baltimore and then back here again.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We'll be in the playoffs. Kansas City will be in the playoffs. Number 2 in our side, we don't know who it's going to be yet.
Let's talk about the playoffs here. What's been decided in terms of how these playoffs are going to play off? We know the top 3 teams from each division are going to qualify. How many games are we going to play during the playoffs?
Well, it's going to be, we get a bye. If we go in first, you guys too, then we play the winner of 2 and 3. And it's going to be the same format that we had last year. Then I don't even know who we're playing in the next round. Do you? It's a good question.
It's going to be. It'll be just like last year, so it'll be the Eastern Division versus the Central Division for the Eastern Conference, and then for the Western Conference, it'll be Southwest versus Pacific, and then your finals will be the winners of each of the conferences meeting up later. So, last year it was a little bit different because the Western Conference, they had arena issues, and they only played a single elimination game.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Eastern side, we were playing 2 of 3. I'm just wondering if the league is going to try to make the West, or if the West is going to have 2 out of 3.
All I know is we're going to show up and play wherever we have to. We're just going to do it. And I think that one of the biggest problems we have are arena availabilities. And none of us want to play on a weekday, but we're going to be obligated, I think, in some cases in Baltimore to play on a weeknight.
Also, one of the other issues with the league, and let's get into it, Ed, and that is the franchisee, the single entity, the responsibility of A-League type of teams and B-League types of teams. There's been an issue with that all along,
yes.
And it's been a factor for some owners financially. So let's talk about the pain that you see right now in the league, and then we'll advance and we'll talk about what's going to happen in the future.
When we formed this, it was my idea to take the MISL and merge with the PASL. And it was always understood by me, and I think by others, including Kansas City, that we would be a franchisor, franchisee, owned by made up of some of the stronger owners. Somehow it morphed into single entity, which is not being run properly. What I have been told, I know it's not being run properly, and it's not legal. So I don't want to be a part of it. There's too much to lose, and we're going to do a franchise or franchisee next year. I will not be back with the MASL. If it's going to be a single entity again and it's not being done properly, I'm not going to take the chance.
If the current owners, the current makeup of the MASL, if they decided to make it a franchisee and go away from the single entity, would you stay in the MASL?
I would consider it, but there's also the issues of standards. The people that are playing in soccer domes, it's not fair. Almost all of us have soccer domes. We could all probably make a lot of money by playing in a soccer dome, and I don't like that either. That has to stop and be professional. I started in 1988 with Don Carter at the Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Sidekicks. And I started off with that, and now we've relegated ourselves to this. I'm not gonna have anything to do with it anymore.
So, at the end of this season, this is you're going to break away from the MASL, and you're going to form your own league.
Correct.
How many teams do you have right now?
Right now we have 11, and they're new teams. There's only a couple that would defect and come. I have not discussed this with many teams, and I haven't. I've sent out materials to a bunch of teams. Some have responded, some have not. But we have some other leagues that are in other sports. It's not a big secret. The American Hockey League guys, they want to do this because they have availability and dates in their arenas. It's mainly in the Northeast, though. In the Midwest, that's a work in progress.
Okay. So what teams from the MASL do you have interest or a commitment from to go with you to this new league?
Well, the only one is St. Louis. That's it. And I hear that the MASL executive committee said this is a joke. I'm bluffing. It's not going to happen. I think that it's probably 80-20. It's going to happen.
Okay, so you say you have 11 teams.
Right.
And where are primarily geographically or regionally are these teams located?
Midwest, a little west of the Mississippi River, and all up in the Northeast, and one team in Florida.
What needs to happen in order for everybody to stay together?
You know what, I've tried. I've given up, actually. I was in St. Louis last year, April 27th, got voted down on exactly what I'm doing now. And if they want to do it now, I think it's too little, too late. I think that I have been treated with great disrespect, trying to put this together and make it right for everybody, and only to be called a hostile takeover or a raider and all this by a bunch of petulant owners that I don't think know what they're doing. And I really don't like some of the owners. I really don't. This is not a gimmick or anything. I really don't like them, and they don't like me. So I don't, I'm 69 years old. I don't want to be in this. We had a great time when I first started with all the other owners, Ron Fowler, San Diego, and some other teams. We had a great time. This is not fun. It is not fun. I don't like the idea that we're playing substandard teams in substandard arenas and I think that we've just got absolutely poor management.
Can you talk to the fan out there? Because Ed, as you know, when you're own Baltimore fans, you have a very loyal fan base in Baltimore that have been with you for decades, for 3 decades. There's also indoor fans all over the country who don't want to see indoor soccer A, leave their city, or B, a league fold up again.
Right.
Talk to the indoor fan that wants the league to survive somehow, and they might feel as if you're coming in and you're breaking it up again, and we have to go through all of this again.
That's a matter of opinion, but if it's not being done legally, and there is, I'm going to be held liable for mistakes made in cities like Seattle, like what happened last year. I'm not going to have any part of it. It's that simple. My fans in Baltimore will come. I believe that a lot of the fans will come and play in whatever league you happen to have at the time. All I want is to have competent teams come up and play us. I want to play teams. Show up and play us, and we will show up and play you. It's really that simple with me. And I believe we're probably averaging about 5,000 to 6,000 fans. We've had 9,000 a couple nights. We expect when you guys come to town on the 19th, we think there's going to be 9,000 fans there. So we're doing a good job keeping it together. It's not a big secret in Baltimore, but they're unconcerned in Baltimore. So I'm sorry if this is offending people. I really am. But I'm trying. Soccer is too fragile for everybody to be fighting all the time. And I truly don't like some of the owners in our league. And I don't want any parts of it. And I think it's too fragile to keep fighting amongst ourselves.
Are you willing to tell us what divisions you would like to see maybe go by the wayside? Or who would you like to keep? What teams will make this thing work? Do you want Missouri to come with you?
That's a really hard question because I really don't get along with the Likens at all. They really don't like me, and I'm sure you've seen some of the emails he sent to me that I'm a little girl in a schoolyard, and the cops called me an a-hole, and here,
Well, I mean, I don't. Let's not get into that because Mr. Likens is unable here to
I have to tell you,
himself.
it's a big part of it. I don't want to be in something where there's not any collegiality. I don't want to have. Come someplace. I'm here today because of the fight that broke out last year. I didn't want to have my team come here without the owner. I want to at least show face here and talk about it. The behavior of the ownership here, to me, was wrong on so many levels, and I don't like it. If they wanted to come with me, I would have to sit down and have a sit down face to face. But I don't think they'd want to come because they truly don't like me either, if they want to be honest with you.
Does last year's Eastern Conference match? I mean, you're here because of that game.
Absolutely.
You still. I mean, why? Why is that still a factor for them? That seems like it happened just a long time ago.
It's not a long time ago to me. It's very fresh in my mind. I really don't like how Harris ran out and tried to drop kick Wapu at the end with 12 seconds to go and the game was over. And then that headbutt, just all of it to me was not right. I don't like it. We don't do that. When you guys beat us in Baltimore, I went down and shook hands with Harris. Bud was there. I shook hands with everybody like a gentleman. This was not right, and I don't like it. I believe being a sportsman. They, to me, are not sportsmen.
Well, you have to acknowledge one thing, that the decision or the behavior of one player does not represent an entire franchise. And you also have
it was Harris. Harris went out and did that. I always have respect for him. He won. He did the game-winning goal.
He did.
In Baltimore. I went over and congratulated him. And to see that, I thought it was not right.
But you also have to acknowledge that the Comets took swift action at the end of that game and removed that player from the organization who headbutted Pat.
It wasn't good enough to me. He should have been arrested right there on the spot. And then he wrote me some other nasty stuff about why are you doing it? I did it. That's it. We'll disagree with this until I die.
All right. Well, appreciate your honesty. And what's the new league going to be called next year?
Indoor Professional League, IPL.
IPL, Indoor Professional League.
Right.
When can we expect to hear more about this? I'd
say maybe the middle of February, the middle of this month, maybe the end of the month. I don't want to get wrapped around the axle with the playoffs coming up and all that. We'd like to finish our season out like gentlemen.
Okay. All right. Hey, Mr. Ed Hale, thank you for coming on the broadcast with us. Good luck the rest of the way.
Okay,
thank you, sir.
Thank you. Same to you guys.
Okay. That's Ed Hale, owner of the Baltimore Blast, with some very pointed, frank comments. Not only about the MASL, but about the ownership of the Missouri Comets and the relationship between the two organizations there. I hope many of you were able to take that in. And it's still very much is thinking about what happened last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, which is a bit surprising. We'll be joined here by Brian Budzinski coming up in just a moment here as both teams get ready for the third quarter with the Comets leading 3-2. The Indoor Professional League. Ed Hale says he has 11 teams that are ready to go and a commitment from one MASL team in the St. Louis Ambush. He says the league, 11 teams, will primarily be spread out from just west of the Mississippi River up and down the Northeast. He didn't say specific markets, but he is going to partner with the American Hockey League owners and use those arenas, and so we'll see what happens. Fans, I'm just a fan as well, and if there's anything that's been consistent in this game of indoor soccer, it's been change. It seems like there's been change every single year. Indoor soccer's been on life support for the last 20 years, and it seems like we're all going to go through some changes again unless some things don't change, according to Mr. Ed Hale. So we will see what happens, but we're going to play the end of this regular season and enjoy the Comets here because they've qualified for postseason. Brian Budzinski back at our broadcast booth here area. Brian, you know Ed very well. He's an honest, he says what he thinks, and he's shared with us some of his pointed comments about the league, about the Missouri Comets and